The first question comes to us from Or Seek the Samurai Pizza Cat Rare over on Discord, and he writes hashtag viewer takeover. If I'm not mistaken, no one made a viewer takeover intro using dreams. So my question is, what are the game cats doing?
This is Digital Roleplay, and you're watching Viewer Takeover.
This is Viewer Takeover. We film every Monday night. We bring it to YouTube every Tuesday. Pretty much every Tuesday, and kind of almost on time. I don't know, it's about the best schedule. We're going to have over here on this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole, that I'm from, Brian Paul, and these guys to my right. The boys, Dave from Dave Station, VR.
All right.
And that guy on the right-hand side of the screen is AJ from The Underground, PSVR Underground.
What's up, Brian? What's up, Dave? What's up, Game Cats? Happy award season.
Award season.
Award season.
Don't remind him.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a time to celebrate video games. I'm always down with it.
Just 12 days away till the PSVR award show. And of course, just a couple days away till that other award show that no one really cares about. The first thing we want to do on Viewer Takeover is thank a whole lot of people. And the first person we want to thank is Digital Roleplay for that awesome Viewer Takeover introduction. What do you guys think? First, not actually the first Viewer Takeover introduction made in Dreams, but still a very cool Viewer Takeover introduction made in Dreams.
It's so cozy. I want to be there in VR. I want to see that fireplace and, be the guy drinking out of the cup.
Yeah,
would be
cat
very
drinking
relaxing.
out of the cup.
Yeah.
I mean, nice attention to detail. Had the coffee, drinking coffee, had a cat. Dreams is amazing, man. Dreams
Even had a cat clock in the back ticking away.
Brian, did you know that if we never got another VR game again, we'd be okay because we have dreams? Have I ever told you that before?
You have, and I think you're absolutely crazy.
I think you're wrong.
But of course, Digital Roleplay is the only person we want to thank. We also want to thank these people down here, the people who went to patreon.com/withoutparole.
Games.
They're the ones giving us $1 or more every month because they love us almost as much as we love them. AJ, who else do we want to thank this week?
We would like to thank those who support us in another way by changing their name to something Game Cat, something Game Cat related, or something Game Cat adjacent, as you and something Game Cat adjacent would like to say. And basically all you have to do is change your name and then leave a hashtag Game Cat on any comment, with any comment on any video, not during a live stream, and then you'll get your shout out. And this week we have 4 new Game Cats. Welcome to the Game Cat Dojo. Starting with Santa's little hashtag Game Cat.
Oh, who's a good little hotcake? Do you think Santa's little game cat comes with Santa on the trip to deliver all the presents worldwide for all the kids in that one fateful night?
Wow, quite a way to describe it. Jesus Christ. You put a lot behind that Santa description. Yeah, that's
I don't know.
coffee.
I was thinking it's like, from The Simpsons, Santa's little helper. That's basically the only.
That's what I was thinking of too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But a cat. We've also got Nathan Drake, the Explore Game Cat.
That guy did love to explore. You remember? That guy loved exploring.
Yeah. I think the only name more fitting for Nathan Drake would be the Climb Game Cat. He loved to also climb.
The Climb and Explore Game Cat.
Right.
So what do you do? I like to climb and explore.
And coming in at third, we've got Roy Motumbo, the
Holy
Limey
shit.
hashtag Game Cat.
That was...
Go!
Well, let me get the next one.
All right.
Final one comes to us from Charlie Fisk, the Game Cat.
Oh, man. Before the show, Dave said we're going to do this one that it's going to require no edits whatsoever. I'm going to have to, edit that volume down significantly. Thank you to everybody who changed your name. Don't forget to put hashtag GameCat in the comments below if you change your name to GameCat. We'll give you a shout-out on next week's show. Dave, now that we've got all the lovely introductions out of the way, what do we really do here on the show?
Well, we go around the internet scouring, collecting all the little questions we can find from you guys. Anything that has a hashtag viewer takeover on it, or if it's on the Discord in the proper channel, hashtag viewer takeover. Two options there. We will hunt you down. We will find you. We'll get your questions, and we will throw them onto the television by answering them briefly. So, I don't know. The first one comes to us from Donatello, the scientist game cat, longtime game cat, great pizza slice game cat.
That's right.
Hashtag viewer takeover. He says, will there ever be a Beat Saber 2? If so, what will be improved? And if not, why? Also, what hidden gem would you like to see a sequel to on the PSVR 2? All right. Many questions there. What do you guys think? Beat Saber 2?
Eventually, right? It's got to be a Beat Saber 2 eventually. You can only take the first one so far. And the only reason I say that is actually because we've kind of had examples of this in prior generations of consoles, like Guitar Hero, Rock Band. Like Rock Band got a ton of DLC and then eventually still made a sequel.
Yeah.
And so you got to figure that eventually they improve the mechanics enough, they improve the gameplay elements enough where it's enough of a different game until they finally have to say, okay, Beat Saber 2. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm not totally sure I agree with that. I think maybe they can just keep iterating on it with new updates and like really what do you improve about Beat Saber? Like it's mechanically about as perfect as a game can be. It's really simple, it's really satisfying. They've gotten better with the patterns for the mapping, I think. They've introduced a lot of new like moves and stuff that I really like. But I just can't see what a Beat Saber 2 could offer. They're already adding multiplayer. Like it's almost like No Man's Sky, where once you keep adding so much to the original game, like it's almost a sequel to itself, you know, with all this new stuff and these multiplayer options and stuff. I don't know. I can't see it happening anytime soon. That's all I'll say. AJ, you are
I
muted.
think you have to. I think you have to keep adding to Beat Saber. I don't think that there's going to be a sequel. I mean, there could be. You know, never say never. Like I could see a reason for them doing it, a reason for not doing it. I think personally, no. I think they're going to just keep expanding on it. The only way they would is if like they had some really revamped, just basically like higher resolution, higher frame rate, higher quality thing. But to me, it's like really they've got a lot of work to do with the regular game still that they can kind of ride out. I mean, they need to add so many more song packs to that game.
Well, the other thing too is I thought about Dance Dance Revolution when this question came up, right? And I was like, oh, there's so many different versions of Dance Dance Revolution, but they didn't have DLC back then, and they didn't have content packs and stuff. And so DDR never changed. It was always exactly DDR. You can't even say that it progressed at any point. It's just the same goddamn game with different songs, but you love it because it's always good. Yeah. And so I think that's the thing with Beat Saber. Just keep adding songs, keep adding backgrounds, add modes, whatever. They'll be fine with just Beat Saber 1.
Yeah, I think once upon a time, maybe now that I've had a second to think about it and listen to you guys talk about it, I think maybe I'll reverse my answer on this and say, yeah, they could absolutely continue with Beat Saber 1 for a very long time. I think back in the day, we had a similar question to this at one point. Somebody asked if there would be a Beat Saber 2, and I said that's probably they'll probably save multiplayer for Beat Saber 2, and now they've included multiplayer, but it's pretty straightforward, right? So so they can go a long way by kind of iterating on the multiplayer modes that they have. The three of us have talked about all these different modes they could do, all these different ideas about making it more competitive and about how you can influence each other's play field with by successfully slicing combos and stuff. So if they can keep doing that and keep making money because they're selling DLC, then yeah, I don't know. Maybe I agree with you guys. Maybe there's no reason for them to make a second game. I mean, we've been waiting for Minecraft 2 technically for the better part of a decade, and they just keep iterating on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You just sell more content in the game because you already got people in the door. Everyone already owns Beat Saber, so if you start making content for a Beat Saber 2, you're going to get less buyers, I mean, Beat Saber is one of the most sold games in the world. So
yeah, I would continue to ride that out, and I feel like releasing a sequel too soon would put your first game in danger. Would maybe even and if the second game doesn't live up to it, the first one, then you put that one in danger as well. I think that's too much of a risk, and you can get more buyers into Beat Saber with just continuing to add content and things like that.
I think so.
So what about the second part of Donatello's question? He said, what hidden gem would you like to see a sequel to on PSVR 2? If you guys don't mind me taking the lead on this, I think I've
Go
got
ahead.
an answer that everybody will agree with. We need to have the second chapter of Immortal Legacy come out.
Eh.
I would love a second chapter to that game.
Yeah, I mean, the first one set it up so well, and they took a bunch of risks and they tried a bunch of things and they told a bunch of stories that didn't really connect at any point. And I think it would be great to revisit this world and see what the developers kind of had in mind, because we talked to is it Viva Games a little bit, and found out that there was some stuff cut from the original game that would have made the original so much better, but just because of time and money constraints, they just had to get rid of it. I think we heard a Cookie Pie was supposed to be like an arms dealer. Like, how cool is that? And so some of the story got cut and all that. And so it would be nice for them to revisit this world, flesh it out a little bit, and like kind of continue that adventure, because it does end on, a pretty severe cliffhanger. And I'd love to see what's next for that game.
I don't know if it counts as a hidden gem, but I would love a sequel to Eagle Flight.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love that game. I think that game is awesome. I think it's gorgeous and has this great, almost like spiritual essence to it, because it's just so like nature, but then it's like in this post-apocalyptic France, and it's all narrated by like the BBC channel. Lots of things going on there, but yeah, I would love to see that game in like a new location. Instead of a post-apocalyptic France with like forestry and stuff overgrowing, maybe a cyberpunk city or a, whatever, even like just straight up like in the middle of like Africa or something.
I mean, since it's Ubisoft, they should just release a new version of it every year or two and slap a different name on it, different timeline.
Eagle Flight Valhalla?
Yeah, exactly. They could just make it an Assassin's Creed franchise, essentially.
Yeah, I would buy it. I'd like to see what they could do with the multiplayer in that game, because the multiplayer was pretty cool, but no one ever played it. And it's just pretty simple capture the flag type mode. And I think if you get people flying around in the air, I mean, immediately that lends to a ton of possibilities that regular first person shooters don't allow for. And I'd love to see what Ubisoft could do with that multiplayer. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna say like Polybius 3000. That's what I'm looking for. Like just another thing in that vein from Jeff Minter, because he's done sequels to his own work, or like spiritual sequels to his own work before. So it'd be cool to see what he did with kind of a different idea of what Polybius is, but still the same kind of general gameplay.
Psychedelic insanity.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because Goat Up is fine, but it's not Polybius 2,
Agreed. Good games, but certainly doesn't live up to that. The next question comes to us from Braxbro over on the Discord. He writes #viewer takeover. With more and more people being introduced to VR every day and new games coming out at a steady rate, do you think developers should have comfort options on by default?
Yes, but they should tell you what they are up front very clearly, and they should ask you, so I think, does RE7 have this? Some game has this thing at the beginning where it's like, here's your little VR tutorial. Mm-hmm. If you like this option, keep it on. If not, turn it off. If you like this option, keep it on. If not, turn it off. That's like the best way to do it. Just let people know up front. Because even reviewers of VR games have not noticed comfort options that can be turned off. And so it's like, you got to make it more clear to everybody what's going on.
I would like two different things. I would either like them to be off by default, because you've also, on the flip side of those people that don't know, that there are options to turn them off and stuff. I mean, yeah, you've got people like that where they're like, this game sucks. It's teleport only. Oh, how many times have you heard, I didn't know this game had full locomotion and stuff like that.
Well, that's really what I'm saying. They got to explain it to you up front.
I think it should be pretty standardized for just every game. When you first boot it up, it has an options to select what you want and then start the game. That would be my preference. Just a menu that pops up and asks you, similar to what Star Wars Squadrons did. It had all these accessibility options right at the beginning. I really loved it. And once you get going, you never, if that's what you prefer, you never have to touch it again or see it again.
Yeah,
I do think the Squadrons setup screen when you first started a little overwhelming. There's so many options there, and some of them don't immediately make sense. So I would prefer like a walkthrough kind of method, like, you know, the games where they show you what this does and then allow you to turn it off or on or whatever.
Yeah, I don't mind them being on by default because that's why they actually mostly are on by default. That's Sony's mandate, and and they actually force developers to make sure that there is click turning involved in every game and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that it's on by default because you don't want to get that 1 in 100 person sick just because they started up and didn't know what they were doing. But what I want is to standardize the terminology used in these screens because
Yes,
I tried to play Wipeout the other day and I couldn't get rid of the peripheral blinders. Like there's like different, it's like part of the ship that extends out, and so like you can't see the track over here if they're on. And I couldn't figure out which option it was to turn it off because it's like all these different weird names. And then on top of that, somebody was commenting on one of my Killing for Incursion videos, saying, "How do you turn off the white vignette? I don't see it on your video." And I was like, "Oh, just turn it off in the comfort settings." And he said, "I don't see it." And I said, "Okay, let me install the game and go in and check and figure it out for you." And it's the same
Control theater.
Is it Tripwire that?
Yes.
So Aspire 1 and Killing for Incursion both use the term control theater. Who? Like even people playing VR for like the last 4 or 5 years.
That makes no fucking sense to me.
These are the only two games that use the term control theater. How
The
dumb
only
is that?
game that should use the term control theater is Wolfenstein, the VR one, because you're sitting in a control theater the whole
Right.
time.
Right, but even then, it's like, come on, like it's just let's standardize this terminology so that it's simple. You turn on a game and you're like, oh, I want to turn this on and this off and blah 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 blah. Even click turning and snap turning and fragmented turning, we haven't settled on that. I've been saying click turning. People say snap turning. I don't know, man. Let's just settle on it. And Skyrim tried to call it direct movement instead of full locomotion. I'm like, that's fine, but let's agree to call it that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, direct movement sounds more like teleporting to me than
Right.
walking. Direct move. I move directly there.
I don't care what it's called as long as we just agree to call it something, and then we're done.
That's a good point. That's a very
Yeah.
good point.
All right. And then the last question comes to us from who, AJ?
Comes from Charlie Fist, the game cat from last week's viewer takeover. It says hashtag viewer takeover like a pro. Will VR in general get cheaper or more expensive in the future?
Both.
Yeah, totally.
Also, yeah, I mean, like, depends on what you want to buy, right? They're going to keep having these Valve Index $1,000 headsets forever. I mean, they'll always be $1,000 headsets. If you want the big Pimax with the weird, crazy field of vision that looks like you're a freak, you can wear that because it's expensive and cool, and you like PC stuff. But there's going to be $300 headsets too. There will continue to be both cheap and expensive.
In a perfect world, we'd have a cheap option and a more fully featured option.
Agreed.
But really, I think this is actually a very important question because I believe VR's best chance of having a bigger, brighter future is going a cheap route. As much as I want, the latest innovation, the latest tech, I would like just a few things sprinkled in here. But really, VR has a long way to go. So I don't know. Maybe by that time it'll get cheaper as there's more technology added. So maybe it kind of slowly balances out, kind of like how PS4 was $400. Now you got PS5, which is like 10 times better, but then has a $400 version and a $500 version. It's not that much more expensive, all things considered, or what it can do.
I mean, I think as we just grow VR as a market and like get more enticing applications for VR beyond what you can already do with it, like say the Quest 3 can help you do your job or something. You could pull up some spreadsheets and click on stuff and use, whatever. There's other applications for VR that we haven't really gotten to yet. And I think like if people will pay $1,000 for a phone every other year, at some point, if you make it a good enough proposition to them, they'll pay $300 easily for a new headset, every few years. I think that's what Quest is going to shoot for. But the market in general, I wouldn't expect to see many like sub $300 headsets. I think that's the sweet spot. They'll just continue to improve at maybe $200, but you're not going to get these things for $20. I mean, like That's never going to happen.
No.
So they won't get cheap. They'll stay kind of cheap.
Yeah, I think again until the industry standardizes itself, until we all say every VR headset has this feature, this feature, this feature, and this feature, and then they continue to mass market headsets with those features, and then mildly improve those features over the years. Like I think VR headsets will stay about the same, like you were saying, about $300, maybe $400 for the next 10 years probably. And then once all those things are standardized, and like we just figure out what all the consumers want. And then focus on those things. Those parts are going to get super, super inexpensive because they're just being mass manufactured by all the different first-party developers. And then I think that's the point where you start getting into the $100-$150 headsets, and then everybody has
but those
VR
are going to
headset
be
'cause it's super.
Those are going to be like the off-brand ones you get at like Walmart or like TJ Maxx or
You think
something.
in 10 years
You know?
you don't think we'll see first-party headsets that could potentially be $1 to $150?
No. I mean,
Pizza Hut,
consoles.
10 years from now, 2030.
I will
we've
bet
got a
you
Pizza Hut.
one. I will bet you one Saints and Sinners pizza. That yeah, this thing is cool, by the way.
Yeah, like you said, it's a tough call right now because nothing's been standardized. I think once everything gets standardized, then it'll maybe be more steady. But right now, I don't know. I just think right now, so early as VR is continuing to develop, I think they just need to focus on just a competent, solid, all around hardware, and then let the games come, and then in the that's what you iterate on the next generation is the features. You just start adding more and more features as it goes along, and you don't have to do some crazy price jump.
I'm thinking comfort and ease of use are the two most important things for VR, and maybe like frame rate. Those three things are the most important, probably moving forward for now to get people in the door. Because if these things continue to be like feeling weird on your face and leaving marks and feel bulky in a weird way, and it doesn't sit on your head just right, like this is the kind of stuff that turns people off initially from VR.
Yeah.
So I think, that's a big thing.
People still make fun of VR for being a box on your face, and I think we're going to see that box get smaller and smaller and smaller until it's very, very convenient. And getting those parts to be smaller and smaller and smaller and being just as effective or more effective is going to be expensive, and that's why we won't see any huge price drops anytime soon.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for another episode of Viewer Takeover. Sorry, it's a short one. I got a lot of award show stuff to do behind the scenes, so we're going to move right along. Make sure if you didn't like the questions on this week's Viewer Takeover, make sure you ask your own Viewer Takeover questions, either in the comments below with the hashtag Viewer Takeover, all one word, or hit up our Discord. That link's in the description. Join us over there and leave your comment or question or concern in the hashtag Viewer Takeover channel. Also, make sure you hit us up on patreon.com/withoutparole.
Game.
This is us begging for money, by the way. And send your Viewer Takeover introduction to withoutparole@gmail.com. That's pretty much it, guys. So make sure you subscribe to Dave at Dave Station VR. Subscribe to AJ over at PSVR Underground. My name is Brian Paul from PSVR Without Parole. This was Viewer Takeover, and we're out. Yellow glow.
I can't hear you guys anymore. Are you doing fake?
No.
Are you fake muted or okay?
No, but that would be hilarious if we planned that.
We'll get them one day with it. We'll get them one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It'll be like
I thought you guys were doing the miming thing to fuck with me.
AJ,
there we go. There we go. Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. No, but now one of these days you better be ready because it's